Hi, today we've got David Landis from Landis Communications. David, thank you for joining us. Appreciate it very, very much.
Thank you, Jeeve. It's really a pleasure to be here today.
It's great to have you. So, David, tell me a little bit about, this. I presume this is your agency, your PR agency. Talk to me a little bit about what Landis is really all about, and talk to me a little bit about your role there.
Well, first of all, I started the agency like everybody in the communications business. I was a piano player, and I studied music and worked in the symphony world and, played in the lounges for a while, and then finally decided I really, really loved the PR side of the business.
Okay.
So about 25 years ago, I started the agency. I'd worked in television before that. I'd worked in the arts, and I decided it was time to kind of go it alone. And since that time, we've had a great run with some incredible clients, Whole Foods Market, Match.com, Walmart, a lot of great blue chip clients, and then a lot of startups because we're based here in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Okay. So really you're handling clients in all gamuts, whether they're startups or enterprises, really, huh?
We are, but I will say that our real sweet spot is in the consumer space. There are a lot of tech-based PR firms, especially here in San Francisco and Silicon Valley, and we really are interested in the consumer space.
Okay.
So we help businesses that want to connect with consumers.
Got it.
And right now, I think that's kind of a big challenge, because if you're running a business, how do you communicate to your audiences, and what channels are they listening to, and
Right.
how do you reach them in this crowded space? So
Okay.
that's what we try to do for our clients.
Okay. And when you say PR, is it primarily traditional PR, or are you doing a lot of digital PR from as well?
We do a lot of everything, because I think the real future of our business is integration. Nowadays, you can't just do a public relations campaign and hope that it will succeed. It has to be tied to the digital side, maybe to search engine marketing, maybe to some content marketing and social media, and usually there's a video component.
Right.
So I think if you're going to succeed in today's world, you really have to be a generalist and know how to integrate all those communications channels.
Very cool. Very cool. Now, do you have, there's so many different services here. I mean, do you have all these people in-house, or do you tend to partner with a digital marketing agency for SEO and SEO work, another agency maybe that specializes in social, etc., or do you tend to have all internal resources for quality control?
A little bit of both, Chief. We have about 20 people on staff here, and I really believe that people are better communications professionals if they have a wide variety of skill sets.
Yep.
So we really want people who understand PR and digital and social and content marketing.
Okay.
That said, we also have a group of people that we hire on a case-by-case basis. We're also part of the Public Relations Global Network, so we have agencies all around the world in 50 markets. So if we need specific help, say in Singapore, China, or India, or France, we have the capability to do that.
Very cool. Very cool. So one of the biggest things I think, that potential clients, or even clients maybe, always wonder is, hey, their spend levels with PR agencies, and then trying to figure out, hey, are they getting a return? Because it's, how do they measure it, and how do you help your clients measure the ROI so that you have strong retention rates? Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. First of all, the ROI is probably the most important thing in our business and one of our differentiators. Back in 2001, when we went through the huge tech.com bust, I sat down with my business development manager and I said, we've got to figure out a way to talk to our clients so they understand that PR is a revenue generator instead of an expense item. And how do we do that? So what we did was we said, we have to sit down with our clients at the beginning of a relationship and talk not about PR, but talk about the business. What's your goal for the business? So for some, it might be, we want to bring eyeballs to our website and convert them into sales leads. For some, it might be, if you're Whole Foods Market, you want a certain brand to be able to sell well in the stores. For others, it's the message. Is the message getting through? And is it the right message? And is it getting through to the right audience? So we came up with this program called Promised Results. And what that means is it's tailored to every client. And at the beginning of the relationship, we say, okay, Kimpton Hotels, what's important to you? And they said to us, we do really well with the business traveler on Monday through Thursday, but on the weekends, we're having trouble filling hotel rooms. So we said, great, we'll do a program that brings in that leisure traveler on the weekends. And we did a whole bunch of creative packages and pet-friendly programs, that kind of thing. But we said we will measure the rooms that are sold, and we're not going to advertise this other than this particular program we did.
Mm-hmm.
And then we're going to take those sales and count those towards our goal of
Mm-hmm.
helping you fill those rooms.
Mm-hmm.
And we brought them, it was, I think, $500,000 for one hotel in 6 months. So that was definitely a great uptick for them.
Right, right. So you take a consultative approach, and then you make actually generate or actually start different PR initiatives where you can easily monitor the results. So that now, how often do you tend to have client conversations around ROI? Is it quarterly? Is it
it's constant. You know, I mean, it starts at the beginning with setting up the program. In general, it's usually, you know, it takes time. It's like anything in business. You can't expect to launch Facebook and within a week be, you know, the next Wonder Bread or whatever.
Sure.
So what we say to our clients is, let's do a quarterly program so that we can, just like most businesses do, they sort of look at profitability on a quarterly basis. So let's look at ROI on a quarterly basis. And that tends to work pretty well. For some, you know, it's funny, but there are some tried and true ways that some clients prefer, like ad equivalency. It's not particularly my favorite way to measure our worth, but for some clients, that's what they want, so that's what we do.
Got it.
It really depends on the client.
Got it. Now, over 25 years, you certainly accumulated a ton of clients. So what's the retention rate like? I mean, you know, talk to me about that a little bit.
Well, you know, it's funny because I'm going to look at my little client list over here, and I would say all of our clients now we have had for at least 3 or 4 or more years.
Okay.
And so I think that speaks to the quality of the work.
Yep.
And also what we do here at Landis Communications is we have senior people on every account.
Okay.
And they are directing the account and involved in the account. And a lot of agencies, for better or worse, but it's sort of the dirty little secret in the agency business. The way you save money is you win the business with the senior people, and then you put the junior people on the account because you make more money. But I didn't want to do that. You know, I kind of came from in-house, and I thought what I thought was a better way. So that's a differential, and I think that's why we have better retention rates with our clients. Now, that being said, we are in the San Francisco Bay Area market. So what we do have a lot of are startups. And what happens with them is, I would say 90% of them go out of business within a year, maybe 2 years. So we have a special program for startups. We call it the Jump Start program.
Okay.
It kind of launches startups, and it's a 6-month intensive program. And I think that works for a startup that may only have runway for about 6 months to a year, but it gets them going. And by 6 months, you're going to know, is this idea going to work, or is it not going to work? So that's the one area where the retention rate might be a little bit different because the business cycle is different.
Got it. Very cool. So now, talk to me about what this runway costs me, right? So, you know, what does it cost for the startup program, and what does it cost on the enterprise? So just give me ranges.
Sure. So it's actually the biggest question we get when we talk to prospects is, how much does this cost? And we always talk about budget with prospects because I feel like I don't want to waste their time if they don't have a proper budget.
Right.
And I want to also give them some idea of where they can go to find what they need within their budget.
Sure.
So what I usually do is talk about 3 categories of businesses. There's usually like the small, really small business that might have limited means that can actually be served well by a freelancer. A freelancer can do a great job if it's a small business and maybe in one market and specialized industry too. So, for instance, if you're maybe opening a restaurant, say in San Francisco, or a new hardware store or something like that, and you're really looking to infiltrate the local market, I would suggest a freelancer.
Okay.
I will preface all of this with the fact that we're in San Francisco, which now is even more expensive than New York,
Right.
because it's the most expensive market
Okay.
these. And so for a freelancer these days, it's about $5,000 to $7,000 a month
Okay.
plus expenses.
Okay.
Then you have what we call kind of where we sit, which is the mid-sized agencies. And those are agencies that can tackle a bigger client, do a national campaign, can be well-versed in several sectors because we have a bigger staff and we have all the bells and whistles and the technology of the big agencies. But do we have offices in every location? No.
Mm-hmm.
We have affiliates in every location, and I think that serve people well. So we kind of sit right in the middle, and our minimums run in the range of about 11 to 15, maybe as high as 18 a month, depending on what the scope of work is.
Okay.
Expenses, usually expenses run about 10%.
Okay.
Then if you're an HP or a Google or a really big multinational company that needs a lot of work in a lot of markets and a global campaign, you probably are going to go with what we call the multinational communications agencies like Ketchum or Edelman, one of those big names, because they actually own their own offices in all these markets.
Yep.
And in this market, they charge a minimum of $25,000 a month.
Got it.
So it's not cheap to do a proper communications program.
Yep.
But when you look at it as a cost of doing business, what I like to say is, okay, how much are you paying your engineers?
Right.
Your engineers are getting paid in this market $160,000
Right.
a year plus benefits. And that's a percentage of your business. So isn't your communications equally important?
Sure. Now, you mentioned San Francisco a couple of times here. So, but you're servicing clients all over the world. And so when you're servicing clients, let's say from Indiana or Ohio, where, they're not accustomed to spending that kind of money. Do you feel like you can still service them because their appetite isn't necessarily set for a minimum of 11, 15,000 a month, even on the startup process?
Well, what I would say is there's always a good fit and a not so good fit for clients and for agencies. So it's really important to find the right fit. If there's for instance, Walmart is based in Arkansas, but they're a big company and they understand the value of communication.
Sure.
So geography isn't really an issue.
I see.
Or our big Alzheimer's client is located in Washington, D.C., and their goal is to get rid of and find a cure for Alzheimer's by 2025.
Okay.
That is not a small feat, but it is doable if you approach it the right way and have the right people and spend the right amount of money. So again, it's not so much the geography as it is what's the scope of work and what's necessary. Somebody, again, in Indiana who is running a pizza parlor, I would probably say you're better off talking to a local freelance PR person.
Or a local agency, right.
Yeah, exactly.
The overheads are going to be less than yours, sure.
That's right. For instance, we have a client in St. Louis that is a crowdsourced commercial real estate platform. They use us for a lot of sort of the big stories, but they've hired an internal digital marketing person. And that makes the most sense for them because it's cheaper to hire in St. Louis.
Sure. Okay. So where do you see yourself and the company, let's say 2, 3, 4 years out?
Well, that's a very good question. I always want to grow and I always want to continue to evolve and learn. But that said, I don't want our clients to suffer as a result. So I'm always walking a careful balance between getting too big that we can't service the clients properly and big enough that we're still evolving and growing. We're now at about a $2.2 million revenue business. And to me, that's a pretty good space to be in. We're big enough that we can do really good work for our clients, but we're still small enough that every client really matters.
Sure.
And I like that. I mean, could we grow bigger? Sure. But that would be a different business. And then I think my job would be a lot of spreadsheets and a lot of, managing, which I do now, but I really love having the client contact.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, David, I've really enjoyed our conversation today, and we drive quite a bit of traffic to Crowd Reviews. People who are looking for PR agencies, and highly recommend them to at least give you folks a chance to just get a better understanding and see if it's a good match or not. And a lot of it comes down to pricing. A lot of it comes down to your expertise and your desires and what you want to get involved in, and if they're a good match from an industry and vertical perspective. So highly recommend people checking out. What's the best way for people to reach out to you?
Well, first of all, anyway, we're on every platform. Email is great. It's info@landispr.com. You can go to our website, landispr.com.
Okay.
We're on Twitter @landiscom with 2 M's.
Yeah.
We're on Facebook. We're on LinkedIn. We're on Google+. We're on everything.
Awesome.
But I also wanted to give a shout out to Crowd Reviews, because I think that you're doing something that is unique in the business. And I really appreciate that you're taking the time to not just aggregate a lot of information in a sort of a faceless database, but you're taking the time to get to know the people within your database and the agencies so that you can better guide people in their search. And I think this kind of information is very helpful in the search process.
Well, I appreciate the shout out, and we do believe that we're doing something a little bit different than a lot of the other aggregators that are maybe listing companies based on revenue or running pay-for-play platforms, etc. This is really a transparent and a neutral, unbiased platform on our website, where rankings are delivered based on client feedback. And if your clients have great things to say about you, then you rise. You're earning your way to the top instead of paying your way to the top. So appreciate that shout out. Yeah,
absolutely. And keep up the good work. And it's our pleasure to be on the platform. And I would just say to any prospects out there, even if you don't have a budget or you don't know what you need, give us a call. We'll always talk to you. And I don't mind spending the time and helping educate people on the right way to go, because I think I would want somebody to do that for me.
Of course.
Do that.
No, I appreciate it. And I'm sure, our visitors would, I think they would benefit significantly by just talking to you. Whether you can handle it, that's a different story, or maybe you can just point them in the right direction in terms of guidance.
Absolutely. No. It's good karma, right?
Exactly right.
In California.
Well, thanks so much.
All right. Thank you, Jeeve. Really a pleasure. Take care.
Likewise.
Bye now.
All right, David, I got it.